We have the problem of growth, we have the problem of poverty and food, we have the problem of employment. So there is a large set of very interesting problems to solve, which can have a high impact on where we land up as a country. We are going through a phase where over the next 20 years, our society will transform, the economic status of our people will transform. I am confident more than ever that it will be the entrepreneurs who will do it. So really, do you want to be a bystander in this equation, or do you want to go out and play the game?
My father became an entrepreneur. He set up his first business manufacturing wires in Ranchi. So me and my sister would go to the factory very regularly. I was only 6 years old. But I still remember he took a loan from UCO Bank, and about a year or so after starting his business. And from what I understand, that loan really helped him grow quite a bit in the 5-6 years that he ran that business. Unfortunately, when I was 7, my parents passed away. So that is when I moved from Rajasthan to Delhi to live with my maternal grandparents.
My grandparents on the paternal side actually migrated during the partition, and hence essentially rebuilt the family and the livelihood here. My father was a government servant. We lived in a rented accommodation growing up. So there was always enough to go by, but never more than enough to splurge. It led to a happy growing environment. We were, as a family, fairly content with what we had. I went to IIT for my engineering education. The goal was that when I graduate, I should be able to get a 5,000 rupee job, because that translates into good life, right? When I went to IIT and into my internship, that is the first time I saw what being an entrepreneur could mean. To me, the ability to innovate and stay on the cutting edge of technology, at the same time being able to shape your destiny, that makes appeal to me, which is where I decided that this is what I wanted to do. One of the things that I realized is behind every large internet business, there are millions of small businesses supporting it. Once you start to see these small businesses through the entrepreneurial lens, it's almost painful to see 60 million entrepreneurs out there who don't have access to capital and hence can't grow their businesses. So it was that dissatisfaction with the status quo. Small businesses are also the largest creator of jobs in the country. So actually, the Infosys and the TCS of the world contribute very little to our overall employment figure. Government has been trying to solve for these problems of growth and job creation for at least 15 years that I've directly observed it and participated in it. Over the last 7 to 8 years, everyone has realized that the real engines of that growth are going to be small businesses.
Credit is a very important element of any business, right? Anybody who wants to grow business will have his own very limited capitals. There are still smaller cities or communities where people look down upon credit.
And so the notion of taking a loan signaled that something was wrong. Yeah. And they're not taking this credit because something's broken. They're taking this credit because they have the potential to grow.
First thing that we zeroed upon was that, okay, do we want to do something in the lending space? And clearly this segment came out as the most underserved segment. Myself, having worked in that industry, knew which is a segment which completely gets ignored from the banking system, and that was the prime reason. And there are enough published reports which guided us to the fact that this segment is hugely underserved.
I don't have prior background in lending, so I actually went out online on the social media. We became co-founders, essentially connected through Facebook.
INDIFI is into lending to micro and small businesses which are underserved by the traditional banking system, and we essentially give unsecured business credit for their business needs.
There was this whole swath of millions of small businesses who were really powering this economy. They were not getting equity financing. They were not getting the media limelight. They were not being celebrated as entrepreneurs. And that is partially where my motivation to be able to assist this part of our economy came into play. Right? Just the language that is used amongst providers tends to put that entire onus of not being able to raise capital on the entrepreneur. Whereas the way I saw it, these are our problems to solve. 15% of restaurants shut down every year. Now, in that environment, you can't really give credit to restaurants unless you have some sense of which restaurants are going to survive and thrive. Today at INDIFI, we have solved for that problem partially. And hence, we are able to extend credit to restaurants. But till such time that you solve for that problem, you label the entire sector as being credit unworthy and hence restrict the growth of that sector. Figuring out what will we do differently that will allow us to serve these millions of entrepreneurs who were otherwise not getting the credit support took some solving to do. So we spent the first 8-9 months doing that. And when we saw that we had a coherent solution that we could take to the market is when we floated the company.
And then slowly when we started taking it to banks and other institutions, they were all surprised with the results. And on an immediate basis, we could see the impact that a segment which was never getting credit from banks easily, we were able to solve their problem for working capital.
This will make them more prosperous. This will make them spend more. This will make their families send kids to school. So we do think of financing as basic infrastructure. It's as essential as roads and power. More than 40% of our customers are entrepreneurs who have not received a business loan before they came to us. Right? Now, we find pockets of underserved entrepreneurs in cities, and we find them in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Right? So that is the key focus that we have kept for ourselves, and then broadened the set of locations. Today, we serve more than 300 towns and cities in the country, all in a remote model. But the common thing about them is that they are underserved relative to what their business deserves to get. These two very young entrepreneurs who built a pizza company and just recently sold that off. Now, what happens when a 25-year-old creates a company, sells it off, and creates wealth? They go and identify 10 more entrepreneurs that they want to back. And that's really the cascading effect that small business success can have on the economy.
A couple of women entrepreneurs started a travel business, but they were finding it difficult to grow the business because if you want to grow the travel business, you want to deal with corporates, and that comes with the requirement for credit. Both these women have been with us for about 5 years now, have borrowed from us every single year to grow their business. And every time the need is to add one more corporate. And the moment you add that, your business just increases multi-fold.
Women not getting their due in the Indian society. And I think a lot of that is linked to not having the financial independence. Putting credit into hands of women who are trying to build their businesses, in my mind, is a key step towards enabling their financial independence. So I think the next 500 million, the way we look at it is in terms of households. 100 million households is what will translate into next 500 million of India. And 50 million of those are small business households. So I think the wedge that we have created in being able to support these small businesses and help them grow actually allows us to have a derivative effect on a large part of the next 500 million population. What we are looking forward to doing for them is essentially to support their aspirations. These small businesses are beginning to develop digital trails. So every hotel that is selling through Make My Trip now has a trail of data attached to them. So there is a real enablement of small businesses through digitization, which is helping us and businesses like us to serve them with credit better.
We are probably the only lender in the country which services customers across 400 plus cities without having any physical footprint. So the only reason why we are able to do what we are able to do today is with substantial use of technology.
So dream big. And interestingly, in my 20 years of entrepreneurial career now, that phrase has kept reinventing itself. I think there is a value system around every business, and there is a value system around entrepreneurship. And in our mad rush to build a billion and the next billion and the next $1 billion company, I think what makes you proud of a startup, 10 years later, is the culture, the value system, and the innovation that you built there. So entrepreneurs should understand why they are doing the startup at a personal level, and not just at a financial level, and then make sure that they make decisions consistent with that value system. So every small business that grows starts to support a couple of more jobs directly. I think every business in India which scales up has an opportunity to be a social impact business.
Not that you're doing it as a non-profit, you are still doing it for profit, but at the same time, you're contributing back to the community. And when you see the impact that it is making, when you see people coming and thanking you for making a difference in their life, it gives you that kick.
50 years back, we were the land of farmers. Today, we are very much a land of small businesses.